Hey everybody, Eric Schweitzer here, back with another episode of Your Favorite Game, joined by my two favorite co-hosts. George Foster,
Hello.
dead at 57, crushed by a falling tower of collector's editions.
Too real. Too real.
And Stacy Henley, still alive at 103, refuses to die until Beyond Good and Evil 2 comes out.
Hello,
I'm really
hello.
trying to get this Beyond Good and Evil thing to stick.
I do like a bit of Beyond Good and Evil.
Dying, death.
Yes.
Dead people. We're all gonna die. I thought that'd be a fun way to start the show. I'm gonna die. You're gonna die.
That's actually not even what the show's about. We're just like,
This week's
Anyway.
Kirby games.
Anyway. Today we're talking about our favorite video game deaths, and we were saying before the show started, this was a very easy one for us.
yeah.
Because there's a lot of them.
Oh, yeah, incredible. Like, even before you get into, like, you know, the narrative stuff, they're so common in games anyway, because most games, death is a
Are
game
about-
over state.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. Wow, I didn't even go down that road. Yeah, like Crash Bandicoot has a lot of great deaths.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hope no one picked Crash Bandicoot.
I have gone for a narrative one.
Yeah, I have as
Yeah.
well.
It is weird how integral death is to video, not just narrative, but like you said, like this whole dying and restarting. When it's such, at least in our Western culture, such an uncomfortable thing for people to talk about or think about.
Yeah.
In video games, I mean, I'm gonna jump on Call of Duty and kill a bunch of people and then die a bunch of times.
Yeah.
And I
Mm.
wonder if there's something therapeutic about this. Like when I die, it's okay. I come back. I don't know. I don't know if we want to get into that, but
I've never deeped it that much. I'm
often
kind of scared to think about that.
You've
I
never
often do
deeped
think about
it.
No,
like,
it's not my
It's so
business.
young.
like I wonder maybe subconsciously if part of the appeal of games is that it trivializes death so much.
Christ.
I think there's definitely something, and I mean, it kind of you do that. You kind of go down the road of it desensitizes you to violence, which I'm not sure how I feel about. Really, I
Right.
don't know if horror movies and violent, bloody video games do desensitize you to seeing those kind of things or coping with those sorts of things in real life or whatever. I think in general, like people have gotten a bit more comfortable with death as a concept, which is. Maybe because people live longer these days, it's pretty uncommon, I would say, to be met with a kind of far less common to be met with like a deathly experience when you're young these days. If you are like a grandparent who's like in their 80s, and I think for a lot of our culture, death has been a pretty big part of all stages of life. You know, before medicine advanced and when we didn't have as much education about this is going way off video games now, but like you know, I think we've
Yeah.
become more comfortable with that as a society, and that correlates with games, but I'm not sure that necessarily is connected.
Yeah. And then I think about like when characters die in games and why these are so memorable. And sometimes it's just because it's good storytelling. But I also think like the finality of a character's death in a game feels so impactful because you don't really die in games. Like
Yeah.
your
Yeah, that's
own
true.
character dies all the time and comes back. So when someone in a story is gone, it feels more impactful, feels more profound. Now, of course, then they just do a prequel and bring that character. Like the next Last of Us will be young Joel, right?
Yeah.
But that
Joker's
is interesting,
hallucination.
though, because like people do, I think, have a bit of a visceral reaction to death, and I think there's this idea that a game needs to have earned it, and not even just narratively, but sometimes just they need to have earned you as the player, your love and affection, because people hate it when Joel died, and
Yeah.
much more recently, I remember you writing about this and comparing it to Joel, Eric. People hate it when Batman died in the Suicide
Yes.
Squad. A game
Yeah.
called "Kill the Suicide Squad," killed
Yeah.
the Justice League. They were mad that Batman died.
Yeah.
A person who was not a
And that a woman
superhero who
killed
died
him.
from a bullet wound to the head.
Right.
And it was like, oh, because the game, the game was trash, and it was a live service, and it was, not worthy of killing off Batman. So therefore, it's not good storytelling because I have decided I don't like the game. And I mean, I didn't like the game, but I did think the decision to kill Batman was a strong one. The decision to make it a fake Batman, then he comes back, and then also the ending is a comic book strip because we have no money left. Like, the game was a mess. But like, I do think there was something bold in, and also going to kill Batman more than just killing off Superman.
Yeah, it is. It is bold. That's a very different thing than I introduce a character in my story and they die by the end of the story.
Yes.
But killing Joel was incredibly bold just because, I mean, if that had happened at the end of the first game, it would have been a lot different than the beginning of the second game.
I agree, yeah, because you've gone on the journey with him, whereas this one, you know, when The Last of Us 2 was announced, people expected, we're going to play as Joel. He might play as Joel and Ellie. But people didn't expect that on. Also, Joel's not going to be in it after the first kind of hour or so. And the second half of the game, you're going to play as his killer, and then you're going to sympathize with her, and she's kind of basically going to be the hero of the game. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
It's a really clever. I haven't picked Joel because I've done The Last of Us a few times for different things, but I think that death I think gets drummed down because we're so comfortable with death in video game land. He gets beat up with a golf club. Like, yeah, that's a horrendously brutal way to die. Like,
right.
It's incredibly savage. And it's a joke because everything in games kind of becomes a joke, but the way it's written is it's a really tragic scene, and I think it takes death seriously. Last of Us takes it a little bit too seriously because it's like, oh my god, Kevin's dead. Like, I don't know who Kevin is. Yeah. Just chill out. Chill out. I don't care. But most of the way it treats its main characters, like, you know, the people in Abby's crew, Jesse, some of the deaths that we see along the way, I think, are really well written into the violent nature of the world.
Yeah, and that like unexpected high impact death. There's not a lot of those in games, and I've noted some we can talk about later that I thought were really well done. Usually, it's the very archetypal, like, sacrificial hero's death that you would see in an action movie, right? Yeah. But still, like, because you have spent so much time with those characters, because games are long, I think even these, like, very expected, I'm going to make a big heroic gesture death still make a bigger impact than they would in an action movie or a TV show or something.
Yeah, I agree. Certainly an action movie. I think obviously in some first TV show that comes to mind is The Walking Dead, that went on for a very long time, had a lot of very impactful deaths. I think TV shows sink its teeth into the way games can, but I do think it's harder for movies to do that unless it's a, you know, like Mission Impossible 7, where you get sequels and you've kind of known a character for a number of years. I don't think it necessarily has the bite that a game does.
Yeah, true. George, you're being uncharacteristically quiet. Are you trying to not spoil your game, or are we making you nervous right now?
No. I'm, to be honest, another thought popped into my head of what might be my choice, and I think I'm pivoting to change to that. So I was just thinking out what I have to say. I was like, I hadn't thought of that, but actually that ruined me. So I think I do want to choose that one now.
Well, it's your turn to go first this week.
Okay.
So
no prep time.
Shock and awe us with the things you just thought of just now.
Well, I'll say, for starters, that what I was originally going to go for was Odin in God of War Ragnarok.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I know that was interesting. That's why I thought about it for so long. So my thought there was that the whole of Ragnarok is teasing Kratos dying, like it's the part of the prophecy at the end of the last game. You know, the thought running through your head the whole time is, are they really going to kill off Kratos? Like, probably not. But you still start, like, kind of feeling like, oh, maybe they actually will pull through with it. Like, they're setting Atreus up. They could do this. Like, they might actually kill off Kratos. And he's died before, so I guess it doesn't matter. But, you know, you start thinking...
You start playing Atreus on his own, separate. You're like, oh,
exactly.
God.
So you're like, oh, no. Like, this is coming. Like, I'm going to have to deal with this. The Atreus will have the whole final section sort of thing. But then the relief when Odin dies and he does it in the exact way that was, like, prophesized. You're like, they tied it together nicely. Like, you know, that was a cool moment. After years of wondering whether they would kill off Kratos, because you have to remember the gap between God of War 2018 and I think it's 2021 Ragnarok. Was it 2022?
22, because it was the same year as Elden Ring. That
Yeah,
would be
so
the Game Awards.
that big gap after you've been teased that Kratos will die and like it could be a big part of the next game, that was killer. Like people were really like speculating on this. Excuse me, I'm getting choked off about Kratos apparently. But yeah, that was my original thought.
Just to be clear, that's not your pick.
No, that's not my pick.
Well, let me just say one more thing about Odin if we're going to pivot away.
Go on.
His death itself is interesting outside of the context of Kratos, because this whole thing with the villain who wants to live forever is very tropey.
Mm-hmm.
But what makes it unique with Odin is that he's been alive since the beginning of time. So him facing his own death is a lot more interesting because he just can't conceive of it at all. There was nothing existed before him, and now things are going to exist after him, and that's kind of an interesting way to do that character.
I mean, it is amazing as well because just every character in Ragnarok is written so well and acted so well. But like most of them are gods. Like the idea of caring about whether they live or die is so, I don't know. It's like it almost feels inconsequential because they are so hard to kill, but they make you care about whether Kratos is going to die through Odin. But my actual pick is really obvious. Claire Obscure, Expedition 33, Gustav, of course. I don't think I need to say much. Like I know, it just broke me.
Spoilers
it
for
just
that game
killed
that came
me.
out like a month ago.
Yeah.
I think we're far enough. Come on, we're talking about deaths. There's no spoiler warning in the front of this video. I'll be shocked. But yeah, I think going in, one of the big selling points for a lot of people, Charlie Cox being one of the characters. I know that's really shallow.
Wait, Stacy, did you know this?
I knew that he was one of the characters, and I also knew that Ben Starr was in it and Jennifer English. It was not in any way, shape, or form a big selling point for me.
No. Did you know that? You know he dies, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay, my heart stopped.
You didn't find that out just now?
No, because you said you got to play at this point. I'm just kind of stepping. I'm going to completely ruin your point here because I played a little bit after you two, and you were like, "You've got to get this point. You've got to get this point." And then I messaged you and I went, "Is the point where Gustav dies?" And you're like, "Yeah, I was in tears." And I'm like, "Okay, I've done that bit. What's next?" It's bold. It's bold to kill the main guy off. I did not think they were going to do it. I did think he was going to live through the game. He didn't seem like he was kind of fated for death, other than the fact that that's kind of the whole deal, that it's a suicide mission. I thought it was a good little twist. Maybe I just don't like the French. I have not been enamored with Claire Obscure the way the rest of the world has. I think it is a good RPG. I remain amazed that this is the thing that brought turn-based games back when Metaphor came out last year.
God, this is like Zelda all over again.
But anyway, it hit me very hard because I got my throat.
Jeez, get some water, guy.
I know. Have a sugary drink instead.
There you go.
The thing is, you look and act like Gustav, so I think
that's only today.
Of a connection.
Gustav's son.
It's only today that I have the little French mustache. But I don't know. It was in this weird sort of space where no one had spoiled this game. Like I don't know whether it was a respect thing. I don't know whether
that is true.
Yeah,
it just happened. Like I knew something was going to happen. Like I would have put a bet on Gustav probably sacrificing himself at the end. But for it to happen so early on, so kind of like weakly compared to how he could have died like in a heroic fashion, like kind of just gets shot from behind. I don't know. It broke me for a good 2 days. Like I didn't want anything to do with Verso. I was not interested. It ruined me. I know Eric's the same.
This is one of my favorites. Yeah, this is one of my favorite deaths. I wrote a piece all about him dying, which I will tease now. Then my understanding of Gustav's death is not so much about him; it's about establishing the threat of this world. And I think Gustav had to die because he did not have what it takes to survive. He had weak will, right? He wanted to give up the mission
straight away.
He had to be saved like multiple times and reminded of like what his oath was, and you think like, oh, that's going to be his arc, is like finding the strength, finding the resolve. But no, he dies because he doesn't have what it takes. And I think that's just so cool. I think it just really raises the stakes of this world and the dangers in it.
No one's safe from there on. I think the Charlie Cox of it all is that to have such an A-list celebrity be in your game. Oh yeah, I've said this to people. They're like, "Who?" I'm like, "Daredevil." How do you not know that? Like, maybe it's a nerd thing.
He's in a Disney Plus streaming show. Hello.
Show.
Anyway, actually, he's in Spider-Man: No Way Home. So.
Yeah, that's true. He's 17th built in a Spider-Man movie.
But to have him there and then kill him off, I don't know. Just shocked me.
It's not quite stunt casting, but you're right. It is a bigger role than you would expect for the budget of that game, the size of it, and the way, the fact that he dies quite early. That it kind of ties into what I mean by bold. Look, Claire I don't love it as much as you two do, but I do think this is a really impressive storytelling method, because that's a really big trope, right? Like, I've played a lot of these sort of turn-based RPGs, and it's really, in fact, I just mentioned Metaphor. It happens in Metaphor. You meet a guy at the start of the game. He's like, oh, here's how you have to push the square button to block. And then he dies. And that's the kind of, anyone can die. I met this guy, I played as him for a few battles. Like, I gave him some stats, I gave him some weapons, and now he's dead. It's like, anyone can die in this game. But it happens quite late, relative to how long Claire is, to the end of the first act, of which there's only 3. And it's the main character. It's not just a guy you pick up. You're playing as him specifically. It's his journey. He is, the Cloud, the Joker, whatever the guy was called in Metaphor, because he changed his name. I can't remember what the canon one is.
Will. It's Will.
Will, yeah. He is the main guy that you kind of carry through. And he's also, because his arc is, I'm not really strong enough for this world. That's kind of an everyman feeling. That's an audience insert, right? Like, he doesn't have this big conspiratorial storyline. He doesn't have a specific connection to one of the clans. He doesn't have a kind of past with the paintress, as we see from some of the other characters that you would expect from squad mates. He has the protagonist's arc, which is, he's just kind of there, right? Like, his story is that he's there. He's in charge, and that's the thing that's important about him. Everybody else has another thing that's important about them. So I do think it's a big rug pull that he's the guy who dies, which takes away from the tropiness of it a lot, which I think is what makes it impressive.
And the way it's followed with this pilgrimage to bury him, and I thought that was such a great mission too.
Did you cry, Eric? I cried.
No, I don't cry. I'm not
well,
like
I did.
you.
Yeah, I cry a lot, but it was so well told. Yeah, that's one that's going to sting for a long time, I think.
Yeah, and then that game gets crazier after that.
Yeah, I mean, there's more we could talk about. I won't, but
yeah, good game, great game.
Amazing game of the year. And if you disagree, personally, Stacy, you're wrong.
All right. Now that we've established Stacy's wrong, Stacy, what is your favorite video game death?
My favorite video game death is an older game, not actually that old, but certainly older than the game that came out 2 months ago. Yeah. I've gone for Kate Marsh. It was a death in Blank Faces. Life is Strange.
Oh yes, of course, yes. I was like, huh?
So, Kate Marsh, it's an optional death in that Life is Strange is a choice-based game. She does not need to die, or you can stop her from dying, I suppose is the best way to phrase that. When I played through originally, as I try to do with all of these sorts of choice-based games, they're not as popular or as good anymore, but when I play these sorts of games where it's like, do option A, do option B, I don't look anything up. I want my first playthrough to be what I would choose as the character. And I would only very, very rarely save scum if, I pick an option and I think that's absolutely not what I wanted to say. That is not what I thought that prompt was. So I played this through. Kate did die for me in my game originally. I did not manage to save her. And I always kind of regard, I think most people do, when you play those sorts of multiple ending, multiple choices, multiple romance games, etc., the first one you play becomes canon for you, regardless of what the writers say is canon if they do sequels, regardless of the most common options that are chosen by the fan base. I always kind of regard my playthrough as canon. So I really see Kate as this, I mean, she's tragic either way, but I do see her as this kind of doomed saint figure. I guess I'll catch people on who Kate is, because she's not as famous a video game character. Game's a little bit older. So Kate is she's bullied at the prep school. Life is Strange is set at a prep school, Blackwell Academy. Kate is pretty heavily bullied by not just the students, but she's kind of picked on by the teacher, and the security guard he kind of means well by the end, but he's a pretty harsh, blunt fella, and he kind of has it out for her as well. So she doesn't really have anything going on in her life. And one of the things that really drew me to Kate is a pretty hardcore Christian. I was raised Christian. My family, on my mother's side at least, still all go to church. So I've always been very enamored by religious characters. George and I watch a TV show. I make George watch a TV show, Yellow Jets. One of the characters is very, very similar to Kate, Laura Lee.
Yeah.
Also very hardcore Christian. Also a dude saint. So I've always really connected with these sorts of characters. What happens with Kate is, let's do the death first, then we'll work out something that's most interesting. Kate dies by suicide. She jumps off the roof at her school, kind of in front of a large gathering. And Max, you play as Max can rewind time. That's the whole deal of Life is Strange. Max sees this from the courtyard. Now, she can't really rewind time for very long, so she manages just to rewind time to the point where she's able to kind of freeze it in place and get up to the roof. But then you kind of get these telltale things from the game. Her hands start to shake, her nose starts bleeding. She can't do it again. There's no takesies, backsies. And you have to talk Kate down from the roof. She says a few things. She basically says, no one likes me. She talks about why she's up there, not just that she's been bullied, but a video of her being sexually assaulted basically is circulated around the school while she's being drugged. And she feels not just her life is over, but her identity as this very virtuous person has been taken from her while she was under duress. And she phones Max the day that it happens. Max, you don't get an option to pick up the phone because you're busy dealing with something else. Like you know that you have a missed phone call. That's just kind of part of the text. And you have to, one, by finding the right things to say to Kate.
Which is tough, I will tell you now.
It's really difficult because some of it is kind of conversational. Like she says, I called you, didn't pick up. If you say I'm busy, then that's a stupid thing to say. But if you can try and explain, you can lie and say my phone was dead, you can do other things. But also, you need to have specifically listened when she had a conversation with you about, I think it's about her favorite saints. And you've been in her room a couple of times and you've seen she has Bible verses and postcards and things pinned to her corkboard. You need to have paid specific attention to those things. And the game, it's not like kind of, oh, you've seen this. It kind of serves it for you. Do you remember when Kate did this? It just gives you a bunch of random options, like, John 16, Matthew 19, Mark 37. You've got to remember which one she cares about and what they mean and say them to her based on just that kind of. And very few people playing it, I think. Someone who was, raised Catholic, I didn't have a knowledge of what those Bible verses were to hand. You had to remember what she has said to you about them, what they mean to her. And
more importantly, you have to have cared, which is the whole point.
That's
exactly.
You can't just have clicked through conversations with Kate to get it over with, to get to the characters that you can romance, to get the characters who are more interesting. I can get away from this weird religious girl. If you want to talk her down, you need to actually be her friend.
Yeah.
And if you fail, she will jump and she will die.
Yeah.
Like, that is, I think, the interesting thing with Life is Strange is it's kind of blamed a lot for the modern state of gaming, and for it makes everything's really fluffy now and there's no consequences and everything's really easy and everyone uses neo-pronouns and all this stuff that is not in any way, shape, or form true of Life is Strange. The plot of the first game of Life is Strange is that the teacher is molesting and murdering his students, and one of them, as a result of that, commits suicide in front of the whole school. It is a dark, dingy game. Sequels have lost some of that touch. Games that have been inspired by it certainly have stripped a lot of its teeth out. But the first game really dives into a very dark kind of very teenage type of trauma that I don't think games explore a lot. And I think I mentioned boldness about killing off Gustav because he's a main character. I think having it be your fault that this character does this,
Yeah.
I think is a really brave move for a game to pull. And I don't think a game of this ilk would pull it these days, because people would say, this is really triggering for me. You know, this is too close to an experience that I've had. I would like an option where everything is nice.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I remember Boyfriend Dungeon had like, oh, you're being stalked. Oh, I don't like that. Well, don't play a game where you're being stalked. That's the plot of the game. You know, and I think the fact that Life is Strange does that, I think, is really unexpected when you consider, if you have not played Life is Strange before, this isn't even really a spoiler, like, it's not even one of the main things that happens in the game. But if you have not played Life is Strange and you kind of know it by its reputation, I think this would be very, very shocking to you. That this is a thing that happens.
I didn't know that. I know.
Funny you say it, Stace, because my fiance played through all of Life is Strange, the whole series, a couple of months ago, and I obviously know what happens. I've played them before, but I was kind of saying like, oh, you know, keep an eye out for stuff, like pay actual attention. And then she just save scummed and looked guide online because she didn't want the consequences. So I was like, well, I don't like that at all. But
you can keep getting mad. You can.
But to care enough to even to that point of, you know, safe scumming, which I don't respect for this moment, I think you have to kind of live with it. The fact that she cared enough to like change her answers to make sure she got it right, I think it still says the moment has an impact. Like you don't want this to happen, of course.
Yeah. It's like that scene in Family Guy where Peter's reading the Choose Your Own Adventure and he's like, no, my thumb's still on the page, Lois. Like, it doesn't count. That choice doesn't count. I want to go back and have the nice one. But yeah, I did care about Kay. Like I say, she's the type of character who resonates with me a lot. Not that I necessarily relate to her, because I was never really, even though I was raised Christian, I would never really, I guess, consider myself one. But I was surrounded by people like Kate for like a lot of my childhood and really into my adulthood, and I do have a lot of like empathy with these characters who are born with this sort of ideology that they feel everything they do is sinful. And I think that's something that's really difficult to live with. I think these characters often get kind of written off as either being very boring, or in a lot of other sorts of media, highly religious characters are like scolding and bigoted and they're the villains. And that is true in real life. There's obviously people who use religion as a cudgel, but I think there are a lot more religious people who don't have those views, you know, who are unfairly maligned because of louder voices in their community. And I think, especially when it's younger people, it can make you very, very isolated, and that's why I'm drawn to characters like that. So I think it's pretty realistic that a character like Kate, in this sort of environment, and undergoing that sort of treatment, and receiving so little sympathy from her classmates, who some of them are going through the same thing, I think is really an ordeal for her to put through. It's not violent in the way some of these other deaths are. It's more painful. I think that's what makes it interesting. It's not a video game death in the way that we would typically think of it as, not delivered by a gun or a sword. It's self-inflicted.
Yeah. Good pick.
Choice.
I'm surprised we never talked about our religious backgrounds, because I went to Catholic school, so I have all the Catholic guilt.
I was also Catholic.
Slimed in Catholic guilt.
I don't know what I was, but I'm not really anything now. I don't really think about it.
Don't know what you were. You probably weren't anything.
Yeah, maybe not. We did do like prayers and hymns, maybe.
You're probably almost certainly Church of England if you don't know. Because if you're any of the other ones, you would know, because they advertise.
Yeah, I think it would be a bigger deal. I think we went to church for Christmas and stuck forks in oranges. I remember that.
Oh my god, that's definitely a prod. Oh my god, the little oranges in the forks, they're so naff. We Catholics don't do them.
That one, no.
Okay. That one. That's my religion. Oranges with
we just eat the body of Christ. You know, we put the ashes on our heads.
Yeah, we did.
We got more rituals than anyone. We do the Lent. I think, do all Christians do Lent? I think so, right?
Yeah.
Probably not as hardcore.
No, Catholics, not this isn't even something my family observe, but Catholics do the meat and fish rules as well. You're supposed to have meat and fish on certain days. We only do that for Good Friday.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, it's every Friday during Lent.
Jesus.
All right, good pick. I like that. I actually have, never played it, so now I want to.
But like I said, that's not even a spoiler. Like, I guess it's probably something that can happen in the second episode. But
Yeah.
it's not like the game builds towards that moment. It's just part of the backdrop of this incredibly tragic time of Blackwell Academy.
Nice.
Go on then, Eric. What's your favorite game in death?
Oh man, I'm gonna take a bit of a cop out this time because there's really 3 that are equal here, but I have to pick one.
I should have gone first and gone with 1, and then George could have done 2, and you could have done 3,
and then I could have done 3.
Hey, I did one. I just talked about another.
I'm gonna do my one. I'm not gonna mention the other ones unless we have time at the end. How about that?
Deal.
Okay. My favorite video game death is BT in Titanfall 2.
Oh, good choice.
I love that death.
Yeah.
I hate that death, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
it's a great pick.
So we talked about, how like the length of time you spend with these characters is a factor, but that's not really true of Titanfall. Titanfall is like 4 or 5 hours long, if I remember correctly. Like this is really like a action movie death, like a Marvel movie death. But it is really well done. It's really impactful. I think so BT is the
Titan?
The Titan of Titanfall. And I think that there is kind of 2 ways to humanize a robot, or to at least make audiences sympathetic. And the first way is the easy way, and that's the Star Wars way. You just make them look like a puppy and give them some cute little bleep bloops, and now everybody loves them, right? But the hard way is the way that Titanfall 2 does it, and it's about finding a connection between the robot and the human characters without violating sort of like what that robot's like identity actually is, right? BT never becomes a person, but but the way that BT accomplishes his protocols makes you love this character. So for the beginning of the game, BT is a very typical robot. He's very flat, matter of fact. And there's something endearing about that. The way he talks about, our chance of survival being 30%, like, and having no emotion about that. It's a fun character, if nothing else. But I think that there's a moment where your perception of BT changes a lot, and it's kind of a small thing, but it's a big deal. It's a scene where BT needs to throw the pilot. What's his name?
Exactly what you mean.
I can't actually remember the pilot's name.
Titan guy. That's his name.
You remember BT, but you don't remember the actual human main character.
Exactly. That's
because you speak to BT a lot. You say BT. But...
Yeah. So BT's gonna throw you. And he's doing his thing where he's like, there's a 66% chance of survival. And the pilot's like, what about the other 33%? And he just goes through this whole list of all the horrible ways that you could die. He's like, there's a 12% chance all your bones will turn to dust, and you may have lacerations and bleed out. And he just goes through all these horrible ways you're going to die. But this is the only option. So you climb into his hand, and he does his robot calculations, his triangulations. He's explaining like the wind direction and the knots, and he lines it all up. And then right before he throws you, he turns his head to you and he says, "Trust me," and then launches you. And he doesn't need to do that. And it's like, is this just like a fun moment, or is there more to it? And by the end of the game, you find out that there is a lot more to it, because one of BT's protocol 3 is protect the pilot. And the way BT has interpreted protect the pilot is not just physical, right? He has to protect him emotionally too. And so when he says, "Trust me," that is for his benefit. And he says it in the same way that you or I would say it to someone we care about. And I think, like, I think a lot about, in our day-to-day interactions, the way that we treat people, and when I go to the store and I buy something and the clerk is really nice to me, and then I leave, the clerk could be having a terrible day, and the clerk could think that I'm like an ugly loser piece of shit, but they were nice to me. And so what's the difference, And that's the thing with BT, is like, BT is acting like he cares. Does he care? Well, like, what's the difference?
Mm.
You know, like
Mm.
whether it's his programming that makes him care or it's his heart, whatever that means, like a person to person relationship. Like if the behavior is the same and the feelings that it creates within you is the same, then is there really a difference? And I think that's what's so interesting about the character. So when BT dies, it's this very action movie sacrificial thing where they're going to launch themselves into this like it's like a what? Like a black hole supernova or whatever.
Yes.
They're going to
I
launch
remember.
themselves into this celestial body to stop it from destroying the planet. And the pilot is inside BT as they're about to launch and he's like, "I'm with you to the end, buddy." Like he's going to go down with the ship. And BT is like he's like damaged, so he's like rebooting. And as he's flying into this into his own death, his protocols reload. And when he gets to protect the pilot, he pulls the pilot out and he says, and he looks at him, he says, "Trust me," and he throws him like to save him. And so like it ties back to that, like all those feelings you have when you realize that BT is a character, like BT is a person, you know. And yet, like, still the robot, still it never, like at the very end, even it's like, this is your protocol, protect the pilot. It's not like BT has like awakened and ascended. It's still right there in your face, like this is just a robot doing what it's programmed to do, but it's meaningful.
Yeah.
It's still meaningful. Oh, it's so good, man.
God, I want to play Titanfall 2 right now.
Netflix stole that for Atlas. I assume neither of you have seen Atlas, because why would either of you have watched Atlas? But yeah, that's what happened. They do that in and Atlas is a movie where Jennifer Lopez is the pilot of a giant robot, and you can see where this is going.
Yeah.
And her robot's like, "Oh, there is a 16% chance that this will be successful." And then at the end, it does this like big sacrificial thing, and it's it didn't get me emotional because the movie was terrible, but it's supposed to get you kind of emotional.
Yeah.
And then it kind of goes like, oh, she wakes up in hospital, and Mark Strong, who's her boss, turns up and he's like, "Oh, by the way, the robot survived."
Technically, Titanfall 2 does that as well. In the end credits, you get a beep of like the Neuralink whatever between BT and the pilot. It kind of like it blinks on the helmet. But I still think it counts. Yeah. That's me being a dick.
That's like the top still spinning at the end.
Yeah, absolutely.
Inception, right?
I'm just showing my knowledge, showing my homework.
Because it's to give people that need BT to survive something to hold on to.
Like at the end of Detroit Become Human, where it's like, oh, there's a different Chloe. We've let that one go, but you have a different Chloe now to be a slave.
Yeah, that death was not on my list. All right, gamers, 3 great choices this week. Shall we do a quiz?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Do it.
All right. Today's quiz is famous last words.
Ooh. Oh, I was hoping it was this. I didn't research because I did not have time, but I'm hoping.
All right. So I'm going to give you the quote, and if you can tell me who said it, full points. If not, I can give you the year the game came out.
Mm-hmm.
For partial credit, I can also give you the context of
context is interesting. Yeah, I think that'll help me. I think George will be better at this one.
And if you still don't have it by then, I'll tell you the voice actor.
Okay.
All right. And I think some of these should be easy. We can warm up a bit, maybe. We'll start with this one, okay? And then how are we going to answer? I guess just shout it out if you know it.
Yeah, we'll just do buzz in. George. Yeah, we'll just George's time to shine.
Yeah,
we'll see.
All right.
We'll see.
Okay, first one. That actually was pretty funny.
That's the Joker, Batman Arkham City.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well done. I do remember that. I wouldn't have got it. But that's a great death line.
I could hear it.
A great one. Yes. 2011 Mark Hamill. Okay. Great. How about this one? Tell him to make it count.
Ooh.
Ugh, sounds Halo.
Tell him to make it count.
Like a life being
would
given.
Like something to help. George, do you need something to help?
Yeah, I definitely do.
This is a game from 2010.
It's not Gears of War 3, is it, with Dom?
No.
No.
Is it something from Assassin's Creed?
No.
I need context.
Yeah,
This is a hero about to sacrifice himself.
Knew it. That didn't help.
I think I knew that context from hearing the line and having seen a Bruce Willis movie before.
Yeah.
Tell him to make it count. I'm gonna know. These are all gonna be like big ones.
Yeah, it's gonna be annoyingly obvious. I'm gonna be annoyed. Yes.
What's next? The voice actor.
The voice actor is Hakeem K. Kazim.
Oh, that doesn't help me. I thought
no, actually, me neither.
George, how
George, you were close earlier. You were on the right track.
Is it Halo-y? Halo Reach?
It is Halo Reach.
Yeah. Thanks for basically telling me.
Yeah. So this is Jorge from Halo Reach. This is the guy that blows himself up to take out the ship, and then you see all the other ships coming in. Halo Reach is a game all about death, right?
I could have picked Halo Reach. The survive bit is incredible. There's
a lot of really great deaths. But I especially like this one because it is a meaningless death, but not to Jorge. To Jorge, he's like, I'm gonna save the world now, and then dies. And then it doesn't do anything. But to him, he got to have a hero's death, and I just think that's such a cool moment. And when he says, "Tell him to make it count," like it doesn't. It was completely pointless. It did nothing. Okay. No points. Sorry.
No.
Oh.
How about this one?
Yeah.
Here's an easy one. Had to be me. Someone else might have got it wrong.
That is Morden from Mass Effect 3.
Yeah.
What a great death. I very
that was on
picked
my
that
list.
one.
That was on my list.
Fantastic death. He just wanted to collect seashells. Whole scene is magnificent. The nature of it, the sacrifice of it. You can know that the sacrifice is for nothing, but obviously you don't because no one plays that way. Such a perfect death. Love Morden. Love Mass Effect 3. People complain about the ending of Mass Effect 3. I've already written this. I know we're short on time, but Mass Effect has great endings, just not the one you were thinking of, which I think is the headline I went with. Everyone's arc ends in Mass Effect 3, and they are all brilliant apart from Shepard's.
Yeah.
Every character has a good ending in that game. Every main character has an end in Mass Effect 3, and all of them nail it.
This is a sacrificial death, but it's not really a hero's death because it's more than trying to make up. Absolution. Yeah.
That's the word I was looking
which
for.
is rare and hard, and I like it a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, good. Tie game. How about this one? You were always an unruly child. I adored that about you.
Oh, that's interesting. I'm just gonna have a stab in the dark just based on context. Is this Comstock?
Nope.
But
that's a good guess.
That is a good guess. It sounded like Dragon Agey to me, but probably not.
I don't recognize from Dragon. I can't bring too many to mind because a lot of them are contextual.
Can we get a bit of context?
This is a 2015 game.
Helps you narrow it down, but it's hard to get it just from the year unless you've already got anything.
That's why it's the 4-point clue.
That's true.
3 points for, well, the context I think is pretty obvious here. This is a father figure speaking to a child figure while they're about to be killed.
You said father figure. I'm going to therefore change my guess. I don't think it is because I would know this. Is it Lee? No. One Dead.
No. Did you say 2015, Eric?
2015. It wasn't 2015 so that was already
a guess. Is it The Witcher 3?
It is.
Oh, well done.
That's just guessing off. It was Vesemir, isn't it?
Yeah, Vesemir. Yeah.
Oh, well done.
This is what he says to Ciri before he gets his head crushed.
Yeah. I actually did like The Witcher 3 quite a lot. I don't talk about it much, but 20 hours.
I'm something of a loose cannon. I quite enjoy The Witcher 3.
Yeah, I do remember it. That just took a sec.
All right.
A very long game.
Next one. Never thought it would end like this, huh?
Oh, that rings a bell, you know. Never thought it would end like this.
That's annoyingly in my head.
Yeah.
That's really annoying. I feel like that's George coded somehow.
Tell him to make it count. I recognize this kind of. I felt it was Troby. This one I feel like I've heard before.
Yeah.
But I still need it.
I can almost hear like a sarcastic, jokey kind of character being like. I think I'm off track.
Never thought it would end like this, huh? This is from 2011.
Oh God.
All the good deaths happened in the early 2010s.
Yeah.
I need more context.
Yeah.
All right. This is a hero about to sacrifice himself.
In 2011.
Not
What
entirely
game?
guiding context. Are they? I'm going to ask for a little bit more clarification. That probably won't help. Are they saying this to a bunch of people, as with Jorge?
They're saying this to one specific person.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. It doesn't necessarily help. 2011. There was an Uncharted game in 2011. Is it from Uncharted?
Nope.
Okay.
Anything, George?
No, I need the voice actor, I think.
The voice actor is Carlos Ferro.
Oh. Yeah, I actually don't know this one.
Not a name you remember, huh?
Yeah. I'm sure I'll know when you say it.
This is Dom from Gears of War 3.
Oh my God, I bloody said
was what you
it.
guessed for 2011 last time.
I don't like Gears of War. I just know that's one people go on about. God damn it.
That would make sense. It's obviously sent it to Marcus.
Yeah.
Dom is driving the big rig into the thing to make it explode and take out all the... Yeah, okay.
I cried from tears of boredom.
God.
All right, no points there. George is up by just 3. We've got a few more, though. Here we go.
Okay,
next one.
go.
I have to know what happens next. I will never stop.
Oh, that sounds like almost like a craze last word. Kind of like the thing that you say before you grab the electric cable and you die. As opposed, all these have been like they knew they were going to die. I have to know what happens next. Just something kind of recklessly.
Sounds like a scientisty, like
that's what I was saying, like a mad scientist. Yeah. Makes me think of BioShock, but I know it's not because I would recognize our Comstocks. I guess that'd be all, but I would recognize Ryan and whatever the Irish fella's called. I would know they things.
I'm watching Eric's face for reactions. I don't know if that's the worst guess.
Is it from BioShock?
It is not BioShock.
No, I didn't think it was. I got it out of the way. That didn't look stupid. Do you want a year, George?
Yeah, I do.
This is 2022.
Ooh. Nice.
Is it? It's Odin.
It is Odin.
No, I was going to say that. I had it. It clicked as soon as I was like, wait.
Stacy takes the lead. It is funny that it's interesting that you both landed on like mad scientist because that is very much
pretty much.
Yeah. It's kind of the vibe.
I heard it as soon as we said it. I was like, oh wait,
because we just talked about how he can't face death. He needs to know what happens next. Yeah, Richard Schiff. Okay, couple more. Stacy takes the lead. This is my favorite one. Remember, the first rule of making a bomb is to always make 2.
That as well rings a bell. Where
do you have anything for us?
In my head, I've instantly thought Borderlands for some reason. I don't think it is. Destiny 2, probably. Destiny.
I'll go Prey.
Not Destiny, not Prey, not Borderlands. How about that?
Okay.
This game came out in 2003.
Ooh.
Well, that's not fair.
Why is that not fair?
I didn't form memories at that point. Come on now. GTA 3?
No.
I guess.
Just a year.
That's fun though. You guys are good at getting the tone of this stuff.
Yeah.
Even if you're not getting the characters, you're like always in the ballpark. But yeah. Do you have a guess, Stacy?
I'm gonna be open and say maybe like a more comedic platform. I don't think it's any of the Crash characters. I don't think they've got actual deaths. I'm gonna go with Crash.
Not Crash.
Because you mentioned it before, mainly.
Yeah. The context is this is the villain about to blow himself up. That's why you always make 2 bombs.
Yeah.
It's familiar. It's really annoyingly familiar.
The actor might get us there, but any guesses here?
I know. Let's get the actor.
Yeah, I need
the actor is Clancy Brown.
Clancy Brown.
He is Cortex in.
Clancy Brown's Cortex?
Yeah, he's Cortex in the first one.
Is he?
Then it's Lex Lang in later ones. I'm certain of that, but I know that's not the answer.
Brown in? Oh my god, he's
obviously Mr. Krabs. But...
Yeah, well, he's in Become Human, but that's way too late. I love Clancy Brown. What's he
2003.
been in? Is it a platformer of some variety?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Is it Ratchet?
No.
Jack and... No, I'm not even guessing that one.
It's
It's not Sly Cooper.
No.
It wasn't Clockwork. No. I'm certain I've seen some sort of Twitter clip going around about Clancy Brown voice acting.
Well, you might have. It's still at the end. So yeah, who is it?
I can't believe you guys are so close. Unbelievably close. This is Baron Praxis from Jak 2.
Oh my god, he's doing as well.
I just no, that's stupid. I won't do that one.
I did actually say don't get Jak, so that's what was first. I didn't know that was Clancy Brown.
Praxis. Yeah, I didn't know.
Makes sense. I can hear it now.
Yeah.
Oh, God's sake.
George, you've played Jak?
Yeah, I love Jak as well.
Yeah,
I just didn't know that Clancy Brown was involved. Jak 2's the worst one, though, for the record.
What?
Absolutely not. Jak 2's the best.
Jak 2's by far the best
one. It goes
one.
Jak 3, Jak 1, Jak 3, Jak 2. Jak 2 sucks.
No.
All right.
Sorry.
All right, we have to move on. Okay, last one here. Stacy's in the lead. Here we go.
Not for long.
In my final hour, I entreat my soul to God. May he have mercy on this unholy place.
Comstock or Andrew Ryan?
Nope.
Balls.
Is it Final Fantasy?
No.
Okay.
This is a game that came out in 2007.
Dishonored?
No.
Is that a bit too early for Dishonored?
Yeah, that's 2011, I think. 2007. There's something that Bioshock 2006, right?
My soul to God.
So it's a year after that.
May he have mercy on this unholy place.
Dead Space.
Nope. I think the context is going to freak your beans. I know most of the context was obvious. In this case, the context is that this is written on a note that is found by the hero.
Oh, it's literally.
So they read the note out, and
it's
then
literally.
They read the note out because this is the character's last word. Yes.
Yes,
Ooh.
I knew it. It's Sir Francis Drake.
It is Sir Francis Drake.
Woo!
Oh yes!
Yeah.
Oh my God! Yeah.
Yeah.
I could hear Nolan North reading it out as it. Does Elena read it out? I can't remember. I won anyway.
Drake does. Yes, George pulled ahead by 1 point in the end. Classic.
That was close.
Classic George.
Oh.
Okay, the quiz took us through most of the other ones I wanted to mention. I have a quick one for the elephant in It Takes Two.
Oh my God! Yeah.
A fantastic death.
Chewie the elephant.
Cutie the elephant.
Cutie the elephant.
Respect the queen.
Killed for a worthy cause to make a little girl cry.
Yeah.
For no reason.
We talked about Joel, but from The Last of Us, we could also talk about Sam. We could talk about Joel's daughter. We could talk about Ellie's girlfriend. Like there are many good deaths.
Yeah, I think Riley's is more impactful in the show.
Yeah.
One of the few cases where I would say the show improves upon what the game offers.
Mm-hmm.
I think season 1 is stronger anyway, and I know Riley is in season 1.
Mm-hmm.
I think the only person to win a Golden Globe for The Last of Us was Storm Reader's Riley as well.
Wow.
I know she definitely did win one. Don't know if anyone else did, because most of the big categories were taken by Succession that year.
Mm-hmm.
There's in the second game as well. Even the ones that aren't necessarily that impactful, the fact that there are so many in the second game really puts everybody in danger. Because I think you play a lot of it kind of thinking. Certainly I did. You've seen all these characters die, but Dina's not going to die because Dina's pregnant, and they wouldn't do that. And then you get to Mel, and Mel dies. And, oh no, Dina is actually in quite a lot of trouble now. So I think the fact that they
you almost feel like
so
Dina
many
has to die when Mel.
Eye for an eye sort of thing.
Yeah.
Which she's got, and I mean, I'm spoiling now. I am spoiling the end, but like Abby is going to get. It's Lev who says, "Don't do it."
Yeah.
There's that cut which we don't see until we play Abby's story, and we see Abby show up. It's not until you play the whole thing again and you play as Abby that the camera then cuts to Lev, and Lev's the one who screams, "Don't."
Yeah. Let's go through some of the heavy hitters. Of course, Aerith.
Yeah.
You got to mention Aerith, of course. And that's it. You just have to mention it. John Marston.
And bloody Arthur Morgan both killer ones.
Both of them. And the horse. I really like Arthur's horse's death.
Yeah.
They really give it like a sense of reverence that you don't see a lot in games.
Speaking of the horse's death, Shadow of the Colossus. Both the horse and the hero, the wanderer, dies as he saves. There's a bit of a Romeo Juliet thing going on there, right?
Yeah.
Dies to save her. Good one there.
Really tragic game.
Booker DeWitt. We kind of mentioned Bioshock here and there, but that's a.
I know it's not cool. I know it's gone out of style. I really like Bioshock.
I like the gameplay. The rest of it,
I think the lighthouse thing's really clever. I do.
Yeah, I like.
Yeah, we talked about it before. Yeah.
I know. I can't remember. Maybe it's time loops or something, but I have mentioned it before. I do have a lot of love for it.
Yeah. Dr. Eli Vance in Half-Life 2 was always a big one because he's like father figure and father, so like it hits two characters in a similar but different way. I thought that was a good one. The boss in Metal Gear 3, pretty relevant. Spoilers for a game that's about to come out, I guess. Aunt May and Spider-Man.
Oh, that's such a good one.
That's a really good death, actually.
Take the mask off. I want to see my nephew's face.
Even Finn in Miles Morales, I thought was a good death. I think that game has a few good ones. The series, anyway.
Another Yellow Jackets mentioned for the show. Very nice.
And then these last two are the other two I could have picked today. The first one is Cade 6 in Destiny 2.
Yeah.
That's a pretty bold one. Like,
yeah,
they built an expansion around killing everyone's favorite character, and told us before, like that was the marketing for the game. It's like, hey, Cade 6 dies in this game. Yeah, that one was brutal, and then bringing him back in the finale was like so well done. And then my other one was the owl in Ori and the Blind Forest.
Yeah,
I already thought of that one. Yeah,
this is one of those like sympathetic villains that like when they die, you really wish it didn't have to be this way. You know, that's what they're going for, and I think it's so great once you find out like this all started because her babies died and she's trying to protect the last unhatched egg and doing all this stuff to like protect her kid. And then at the end, you take her kid to, she gets to live on through her kid. It's really well done. It's really good. You really don't want to have to kill this thing.
Yeah.
But you have to. Those are all of mine. Did I miss any?
Very quick mention of one. I wrote down Ethan Winters' Resident Evil Village. But not at the end. It's the reveal that actually you died in Resident Evil 7 and you're kind of just a moldy corpse that's kept together.
I guess so, yeah.
I thought that was cool. I just think that's a really
that's exactly my reaction as Eric's. Yeah, I guess.
I think it's interesting to canonize like his ability to just heal over anything. Like it's kind of obvious, but it was one of those like, I like those ones.
I think it's kind of clever. I have a hard time with Village.
I know Ethan as well, especially
Village
like he's
really
a blank slate. But
land for me.
I like Village a lot.
Good
game.
Feel similarly about Village, especially. It feels weird to say, after you deal with Lady Dimitrescu, it's boring because people think that's why you like Lady Dimitrescu. But she actually is the only interesting character in the game.
Yes.
Like, I'm in the sewers and this guy can like use magnets.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, it isn't the best Resi. It's still a good game though. Come on now. Yeah. Even the worst Resi in the modern era is still a good game.
Sure.
6
is the modern era, but sure.
Okay.
Anything else?
No, that's
I
me.
could go through all the Mass Effect ones, really, and I do love the Red Dead ones, obviously. But no, I think we've touched on all the really big ones that were in my head.
Nice. This feels like I enjoyed this episode because it felt like a big one that we waited to do like 35 episodes in or whatever. So it feels like we still got a lot of gas in this tank.
Loads of gas.
We still got a lot of good topics to get to.
Oh boy, I'm gassy. Let's do it.
All right. Thank you all very much for hanging out with us. Those are our favorite video game deaths, but we want to know your favorite video game deaths. So leave a comment, get in touch. We'll be back next week with another episode of your favorite game. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell, and visit us at thegamer.com. That's The Gamer. No space.